Hi, and welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee, in for Phil Gallagher. Joining me on this week's edition is BNews Director Rich Hosford, reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and John Vias, weatherman Peter Brown, Jolie Atwood with Community Calendar, and Liz Gillespie with Sports. Burlington Public Schools have been responding to a number of positive cases of the coronavirus in the past week. This week, they received laboratory testing that indicated positive cases of COVID-19 for 2 staff members and/or students at Burlington High School, 3 students or staff members at Fox Hill Elementary, 2 students or staff members at Marshall Simons Middle School, and 1 student or staff member at the Burlington Early Childhood Center. A joint letter from Superintendent Eric Conti and nurse leader Barbara Conley states, according to the letter, there were no close contacts connected to classrooms for Marshall Simons cases due to the fact that the positive individuals were not in school during their contagious period. 2 of the 3 Fox Hill cases forced 1st and 3rd grade classrooms to go remote for 2 weeks. Close contacts in the BHS cases were connected to athletic teams, and close contacts have been notified, but neither of these individuals were in a classroom during their contagious period. Finally, in the case of the Burlington Early Childhood Center case, they have contacted close contacts and closed the impacted classroom for 10 days. The timeline for when more people can get vaccinated against COVID-19 is becoming a little bit clearer for Massachusetts residents. On Wednesday, the Baker-Polito administration announced the timeline for all remaining residents to be eligible for a vaccine, according to a release from the administration. The Commonwealth's timeline adheres to the original timeline for the 3 phases announced in December. All residents can pre-register to book an appointment at a mass vaccination site at mass.gov/COVID-vaccine. Appointments will be offered based on eligibility and available appointments nearby. It is expected that more sites will come online as part of the pre-registration process in April. The timeline for remaining groups is as follows. March 22nd, residents 60 and up and certain workers. April 5th, residents 55 and up and residents with one certain medical condition. April 19th, general public ages 16 years of age and older. The certain workers in the March 22nd group include transit, grocery, utility, food and agriculture, sanitation, public works, and public health workers. According to the release, the administration has received assurances from the federal government that an increased vaccine supply will be available to states soon. Depending on supply, it could take weeks for people to be notified that an appointment is available at a mass vaccination site. After mostly taking a year off due to the pandemic, Burlington Relay for Life is back this year to help support cancer research and patients, and they're starting their fundraising with a healthy living event with the new Burlington F45 training studio. BNews Director Rich Hosford spoke to the organizers of the event and has this look.
Burlington's annual Relay for Life to raise funds for cancer research and support cancer patients is kicking off on Saturday, March 20th with an event focused on healthy living. Organizers have partnered with F45 Training, a new fitness studio in the Crossroads Plaza, for a virtual workout event.
So typically, as you know, we hold our kickoff and relay event in person. But this year, unfortunately, with COVID-19, everything's going to be held virtually. So we are lucky to have a new business here in Burlington at 45 Training Southwest do our kickoff event. It's going to be this Saturday, March 20th at 12 p.m. It'll be held via Zoom.
The fundraising training session will be a high-intensity workout called Hollywood due to its fame among members. Being one of their most intense sessions, they guarantee a good sweat. Head trainer Kelsey Levesque said she is happy to support Relay for Life and explains how the partnership came about.
So we're a brand new studio in this area, and we really want to start reaching out to the community. So I was just kind of scrolling through Instagram, doing seeing what other businesses are out there, small businesses, and trying to connect with people, introduce ourselves. And I found Relay on the Instagram, and I saw that they're doing their virtual event soon. So I reached out saying, kind of introducing myself, we're new to the area, wanted to say hi, and then it kind of worked out to the best way possible where I get to be involved with a virtual workout, which is such a great outcome, and I'm very excited for it.
This year, due to the pandemic, the Relay for Life event itself will also be virtual, but Nikki said they are working to ensure the feelings of community and togetherness the event inspires remain intact.
This year, Relay will also be held virtually. It will be Saturday, June 12th at 1 to 5 p.m. Although it's virtual, we are trying to maintain our traditions as best as possible. So we will still have our opening ceremony, we'll still have a luminaria ceremony, and our closing ceremony as well, with some fun activities and engaging items mixed in between.
Cancer touches the lives of so many, and most people who work, attend, or support Relay for Life have strong reasons to do so.
More of getting involved in Relay is a really good organization I really want to get involved with, because many of us members in the studio and then our staff as well knows somebody, family, friend, or anybody else that is going through cancer or had cancer in the past or maybe lost somebody with cancer. So it really hits home for many of us.
It's really important to remember those who have lost their lives to cancer, to celebrate those that have fought against cancer, and to lead the world in a fight without cancer.
Finally, the funds raised at Relay for Life help support the important work of the American Cancer Society.
So the fundraising for Burlington Relay for Life is really important for cancer research. With COVID-19 impacting fundraising, it's been really difficult for cancer research to take place. And the funds from Relay for Life also go to helping cancer patients receive advocacy and information from our 24/7 helpline. We also do rides to cancer treatment for cancer patients as well. And pre-COVID, we were also doing the Hope Lodge, where we would house cancer survivors and their families when they were getting treatment.
To learn how you can sign up for the virtual workout or otherwise support Burlington Relay for Life, follow them on their Facebook page, on their Instagram, or visit their website at www.relayforlife.org/BurlingtonMA. From F45 Training, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
Thank you, Rich. The Burlington Police Department will soon be under new leadership. During Monday night's Board of Selectmen meeting, Town Administrator Paul Sagarino said that Burlington Police Chief Michael Kent will retire at the end of the current fiscal year and will be replaced by Deputy Chief Thomas Brown. Chief Kent has been at the helm of the department since being brought on in 2010. Sagarino said having Brown in the position of deputy chief and ready to take over the department is the only solace he has in the news of Kent's upcoming retirement. Other members of the board had equal levels of confidence in Deputy Chief Brown. They also had a lot of praise for the work Chief Kent has done over the past 11 years and ensured there would be time before he leaves to give him a proper send-off. Here are Selectman Jim Tigas and Board Chair Joe Morandi.
As the chief has said to me, that Chief Kent, that if his successor didn't come from within the department, then he hasn't done his job. And I think he has done his job. He's done it very, very well. Chief Kent has turned this police department around, the Burlington Police Department around from when he got here. And I think that, again, it's a natural process that the deputy chief should follow.
I think Tom Brown is going to be the next incredible chief that we've had. Chief Kent has been incredible, and you're right. We will give him his due over the next couple months. I think that he'll want to crawl in a hole by the time we're done with him, but he's done an incredible job, and I think Mr. Brown will step up beyond what he's already done for the town of Burlington. So me as one, I can't wait to make that vote and give it my yes on that.
There was a moment of silence held at Monday night's Board of Selectmen meeting for a beloved man and retired member of the Burlington Police Department. Walter Ronald Bevis, a retired police lieutenant, passed away on Saturday, March 13th after a courageous battle with cancer. His obituary from Sullivan Funeral Home says he was 72 years old. Walter was born in Somerville, the son of Walter Reginald Bevis and Eleanor Phillips Bevis. Walter's family moved to Burlington when he was 5 years old. He was a 1966 graduate of Burlington High School. Walter earned college degrees from Middlesex Community College, Northeastern University, and a master's degree from Western New England College. Walter served in the Army during the Vietnam War. He was a member of the 801st Maintenance Battalion of the 101st Airborne Division. He served for 2.5 years and was the recipient of the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Bronze Star Medal. He specialized in radar repair and held the rank of SP5. Walter started his career in law enforcement as a specialist in the Burlington Police Department in 1972. He eventually became a full-time officer and served until his retirement at the age of 65. He retired as a lieutenant after 40 years of service, and he continued working details until he reached the age limit of 70. All the members of the Board of Selectmen praised Walter for his service and for being a genuinely great person. Here is Board Chair Joe Morandi.
A friend of Walter's, he would drop everything to come help you. He would, if you knew him, you're a better person because of it. He was just that great of a person. My condolences to the family, his wife Sandy, his kids. I'm going to leave it at that before I get emotional.
An application for a small cell 5G facility on Mall Road garnered a lot of discussion and even more questions at last week's Board of Selectmen meeting. According to attorney Edward Perry, who was there representing AT&T, the communications company is looking to remove a light pole in the vicinity of 44 Mall Road in front of Leahy Hospital and replace it with a similar pole, that contains a small cell antenna. He said the new pole, which will be approximately the same height as the existing one, will be moved slightly in the median and will also have light fixtures. The small cell would be hidden within a concealment module, and there would be an antenna on the top. David Maxson, CEO of Isotrope LLC and a specialist in radio frequency technology who is consulting for the town, said he reviewed the application and found the proposal tidy. He also pointed out that because of the 1996 Telecommunications Act, local municipalities are limited in how much control they can exert over these types of projects. Chairman Joe Morandi said the purpose of that night's meeting was for members of the board, the town staff, and the public to ask questions of both Perry and Maxson. The questions would be answered at a later meeting after both had an opportunity to do some research and find the answers. Selectman Nick Priest acknowledged the biggest concern expressed by residents, the health effect of the 5G signals, though he acknowledged that as long as they are within the limits set by the FCC, the town cannot make decisions to approve them or not based on health concerns. Senior Building Inspector Andrew Ungerson had questions about the pole itself. He wanted to know if it would be placed on the same base, if it would be the same style, and whether or not they would allow the Leahy Emergency Room sign that is on the current pole. He also said he wanted assurance that placing small cells near traffic lights that are equipped with antenna that change lights for emergency vehicles would not impair that function. There were also a lot of questions from members of the public on top of those who aired concerns about safety. They include, why not place small cells on a building or the Leahy parking garage? Can the town independently test the signal strength on an annual basis to ensure it hasn't changed to be outside of the FCC regulations? What will be the ultimate build-out to provide 5G to the town? Can other communication companies use the same pole, or will they be petitioning the town for their own? At the end of the discussion, the public hearing was continued until the meeting of Monday, March 22nd, when it would be taken up again to have these questions answered. Burlington Public Schools are set to file for funds from the Massachusetts School Building Authority for a project to replace the Fox Hill Elementary School building. To help with the application, they have done some high-tech modeling to make their case. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak went to check it out and has this report.
Burlington Public Schools have high hopes for Fox Hill Elementary School and the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
This year, after previous attempts at MSBA for the high school, we shifted our focus to the Fox Hill Elementary School. MSBA only allows you to have one priority building or one priority project. So while we're still interested in seeking MSBA funding for the high school, again, our priority shifted was to Fox Hill. There's been some rumors and questions regarding, consolidation into a smaller building and going to 3 elementaries. It's not our focus or our main idea, but it is one of the options in the feasibility study to consider a consolidation of schools. We know that our residents and our school committee enjoy the feel of having smaller buildings and smaller class sizes, and definitely from the community aspect, having 4 elementary schools, I think fits us a lot better. But again, we don't want to look the gift horse in the mouth. If MSBA is going to give us the opportunity to explore that option, then we're going to look at it. But ultimately, it's going to come back to the school committee and town meeting anyways, if we are to make it that far in the process with MSBA.
Burlington Schools recruited their own 8th grade science teacher, Jordan Marino, who's become quite the expert on educational videos.
I actually used his skills a lot to kind of help me out because that's where he excels. We did a walkthrough of the building. One thing with this project, of course, is that while the building is technically safe, the focus of MSBA is to showcase the not-so-great things. So this building will show you the age of the building, the age of some of the fixtures, how walls have had to be constructed or replaced in order to meet our needs over time, all the improvements that have happened over time. But again, this building is 1960 construction. The overall shape of it is not conducive to learning as a new building would be, and that's really what we tried to focus on in the video. We're not looking to knock down a bunch of trees or anything like that. We believe that the property suits itself to build a new building on the property while maintaining the Fox Hill until we're able to just shift students and staff over. So typically, MSBA project is about 5 to 7 years from start to finish. If you are selected, which we haven't, and nor have schools been selected for this fiscal year yet, once that selection process happens, it's almost 2 years for the feasibility study. After feasibility study is when we start getting into funding. We would obviously have to look to town meeting to appropriate some funding. After that, you begin construction, and construction typically takes 2 years approximately. So in a perfect world, 5 years. Realistic world, 6 years.
From the administration offices of Burlington Public Schools and high in the sky, above Fox Hill Elementary School, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
Thank you, Tad. Voting in the upcoming Burlington town election just got more convenient. On Tuesday, Governor Charlie Baker signed legislation that extends voting by mail provisions through June 30th. It also allows for in-person early voting. Town Clerk Amy Warfield said early voting will take place at Grandview Farm during the week of April 5th through 8th. Early voting will be open on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Wednesday from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will also be an option for absentee voting on Friday from 8:30 a.m. to noon. During early voting, residents are asked to wear masks and socially distance from others. Only one person or family will be allowed at the booth at one time. Poll workers will wipe down voting booths and pens and other equipment between each use. Voters can also request a ballot by mail by contacting the town clerk's office and filling out an application. Warfield says she believes voters like the option of voting early, but noted that if a majority of them participate in it, they may make changes to the election day schedule. Finally, Warfield said anyone interested in helping out with the election as a poll worker can contact the town clerk's office. The Burlington town election will be held on Saturday, April 10th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Burlington High School gymnasiums. BPS Science Center specialist Sean Musselman has a new podcast called STEM on the Shelf, where he has conversations with fellow educators, parents, and enthusiasts on how the wonder of children's literature can open up a world of curiosity. BNews reporter John Vias spoke to him about the project and has this look.
Hey there, I'm Sean Musselman, elementary science educator, father, and host of STEM on the Shelf, the podcast where we explore the ever-expanding universe of children's literature, bringing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to life.
If you're a parent or an educator ready to explore the wonders of the scientific world with the children in your life, look no further than for STEM on the Shelf, a new podcast hosted by Sean Musselman. Burlington's K-5 science specialist will share a conversation with fellow educators, experts, and enthusiasts as they swap STEM-themed books, expanding their curiosity, going beyond the classroom.
The format of the STEM on the Shelf podcast is really one that came out of curiosity for me about trying to connect with people who were engaged in the worlds of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics around us, and what I could learn from them, as well as what sort of children's literature they found to be powerful venues, forms of conveying important messages in those domains to students. As a father and a science educator, it's a great intersect for me and a bit of a passion project in terms of what's important to me right now in my life, and a way that I can be curious myself while, passing on that new learning to others.
Children's literature is the main focus of the show. Opening up a book can go a long way for young readers, with so many questions to ask and where the answers lie.
Children's books have always been a powerful venue of explaining content that can be very complex in ways that are understandable to kids, and that's because of the way that they balance both the messages in the words and the text of the book, but also in the illustrations that they're paired with.
Not only will Sean introduce a new children's book to add to a growing curriculum, but he'll exchange ideas with fellow educators and others with the same passion and gain something new to learn that he can pass on to his students for years to come.
STEM on the Shelf is a bit of a curiosity learning project for myself. With everything that's been going on in our world, I felt it was important for me to continue to try to grow in different ways, and it's no secret to folks who use digital media that podcasting is an exploding form of content and ways that people connect. And I wanted to explore that for myself. I wanted to really know what it would take to put together not just a compelling and interesting podcast, but even the nuts and bolts, the type of technology and software that we use to create it, the types of software and platforms that we use to promote it. It's something that I was interested in exploring for myself, but just as important, I wanted to be able to support students in the Burlington Public Schools who might also be interested in conveying content and their own learning in this way.
You can listen to STEM on the Shelf, the new podcast from Sean Musselman, now streaming on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. From the Burlington Remote Academy at BHS, this is John Vias for BNEWS Weekly.
So join me as we learn and stack our shelves together with great books sure to spark wonder wherever you read them. Subscribe to STEM on the Shelf now, and I look forward to sharing with you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Sean. In the latest Burlington History Uncovered, local historian Peter Coppola presents an antique Harbor Master telescope that found its way from Europe to Burlington. Let's take a look.
Just like we predicted, coming up on the port side, 2 lines. Farragut strapped to the mast, watching the ironclads coming in closest to the bridge. We're heading right toward that minefield. Oh, the Tecumseh just went down. Oh, and there's Farragut waving. What's that? Something about torpedoes? Ahead? Well, that's not what really happened. Farragut never said, stand the torpedoes in full speed ahead. What he said was, go ahead. I don't think that's exactly what he said either. In the heat of battle, I think there was a few salty words used, but that's the official term. He just said, go ahead. But this telescope is not something that you hold up prolonged. It's just too big. This was designed to be on a tripod, and it's a Habermas's telescope. So this would have been at the port looking out toward the horizon to see what was coming in. It's 58 inches long when fully extended. There's a lens here, a lens here, and a lens here. The adjustment is by this, all brass with a leather sleeve. Made by Glasgow and Greenlock of Liverpool, England, for a D. McGregor and Company. My guess it was made around mid-1800s and probably came to the U.S. like so many other English goods during the Civil War, purchased as military equipment. How it got to Burlington, I don't know, but I think it's a great addition and will be a great addition to the museum.
That was really cool. Thanks, Peter. The Modified Fall Sports Season 2 is underway, and the Red Devils are battling hard. We go now to BNews sports reporter Liz Gillespie for this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, I'm Liz Gillespie, and this is your weekly sports report. Fall Session 2 teams have already begun their seasons, and other Red Devil teams are waiting to begin them this coming weekend. The Burlington JV volleyball coach moved up her position and is currently coaching the varsity team for the 2020-2021 Modified Fall Session 2. For more, we go to BNews sports reporter Robert Paris.
Girls volleyball is back on the court for their 2021 modified season with a new addition to the team.
So last year I was the JV coach for Burlington. This year there was an opening for the varsity coaching position, so I figured it was a good chance to step up and take over the varsity group this year.
Since the team season was pushed back to Fall Session 2, everyone was eager to play the game once again.
I think at the beginning of the season the girls were ready to play, ready to come in and work hard. Obviously some of the COVID protocols are new this year with the masks and some of the game time procedures, but overall we're playing normal volleyball with just some extra accessories.
Coach Seaman has brought her own techniques to the practices.
As the varsity coach this year, I'm trying to elevate their game, push them to the next level so that they're moving faster, reading faster, just more consistent overall play, and just trying to get them to the next level of play as best as I can.
With the season already in high gear, the girls continue to work together one game at a time.
As the season progresses, I just want them to just keep working harder, get their, a little more consistent, hit harder, serve harder, just every single practice, every single game, just, improving upon the day before.
From Burlington High School, I'm Robert Paris for BNews Sports.
Girls varsity volleyball headed to Wilmington to face the Wildcats on Saturday, March 13th. The Red Devils shut out their opponent 3-0 in the sets. The girls will head to Stoneham to take on the Spartans on Saturday, March 20th. Burlington is currently 2-0 on the season. Girls swimming were supposed to face off against the Stoneham Spartans on Saturday, March 13th at the North Suburban YMCA, but that game was canceled. They'll begin their season on Saturday, March 20th against the Wakefield Warriors. The Burlington girls and boys indoor track team will start the season off against Wilmington Wildcats on Saturday, March 20th at Varsity Field. Although this is an indoor sport, both teams will be doing their races outside on the track. These meets will be live streamed on the BCAT Facebook page at 1 p.m. Boys varsity football will begin their season with the Wilmington Wildcats on Saturday, March 20th at Varsity Field. This game will also be live streamed on the BCAT TV Facebook page at 10 a.m. For more Red Devil action, go to bcattv.org under the B News Sports section, and don't forget to check out our B News Sports Twitter page. And that's all for your weekly sports report. I'm Liz Gillespie, back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Liz. We now go to BNews weatherman's Peter Brown for a look at this week's forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Jolie Atwood for a look at what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone. This is Peter Brownfield with your weather for the next 7 days. Here we are getting towards the end of March. I know that's hard to believe. And the best news is Saturday at 5:37 a.m. is the official start of spring. So we have made it through winter. However, unfortunately, as we round out winter on the very last full day of it on Friday, we're going to be having a kind of messy mix out there in the Burlington area. Pretty chilly, as you can see from our almanac here. Highs only in the mid-30s. So winter is definitely hanging on till the very, very end. Now, as we round out our period getting into the end of the period into next Thursday, our average highs at this time of the year should be about 50, and we're probably going to be about maybe 5 to 10 degrees warmer than that as we head towards the end of the week. So it looks like we have a really, really nice period coming up, some nice early spring conditions, and of course, since we turned the clocks ahead last weekend, our sunsets are almost at 7 p.m., so you have plenty of opportunity to get out there in the Burlington area and enjoy the weather. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us in terms of temperatures and precipitation for the next 7 to 10 days. And again, right here in the Burlington area and most of New England, they are expecting well above average chances of temperatures. So we're going to see that reflected as soon as we start to head into the Sunday time frame. It's going to be really nice, and then really out through the end till Thursday. It's going to be very pleasant out there. And as we go ahead and take a look at our precip chances, again, they're calling for a little bit above average precipitation. That might be from the storm that's just coming through here on Friday, and we may have some light rain shower chances as we head in towards Thursday, but really nothing too big out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 7 days of weather coming up, and I think you're going to be pretty happy from what you see on here. Of course, except for the notable distinction here on Friday, we're going to have a messy mix of rain and snow early in the morning in the Burlington area. We may pick up a couple of inches of heavy wet snow. I know that's something we don't really want to hear, especially since we just get rid of all of it the last couple of weeks when we have that nice warm weather. But it doesn't look like that snow is going to be sticking around for too long here in the Burlington area. As we head in towards Saturday and definitely into the Sunday time, we're going to be seeing temperatures in the mid-50s, so really nice out there and a beautiful start to your week, and actually almost right through to the very end. I'm going to be seeing temperatures in the mid-50s, so definitely a little bit above average for this time of the year. And of course, with those calm conditions at night, we're going to be seeing temperatures dipping down to around the freezing point. But again, nothing unusual for this time of the year, just some really pleasant weather out there for the next 7 days after we get by the bump in the road on Friday. And of course, rounding out our period on Thursday, we're going to see a chance of maybe a little bit of some rain coming in from a system to our south and west, but temperatures, look at this, climbing up to near 60. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
I'm Julie Atwood, and this is your community calendar. Learn about the history of voting. On Wednesday, March 24th at 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library is having a virtual event called Rights and Wrongs, Black Women in the History of Voting with Dr. Kelly Carter Jackson. Everyone is welcome, and pre-registration is required. Register at the Burlington Public Library's website or call 781-505-4985. Get moving and grooving with the Easter Bunny. On Friday, March 26th at 4 p.m., the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department is having a virtual event called Bunny Hop. The event is free. For more information and the Zoom link, go to burlingtonrecreation.org. Get ready to say cheese! Until April 3rd, the Burlington Mall is having Easter Bunny photos. Come and get your photos taken with the Easter Bunny. Everyone is welcome and pre-registration is required. For more info and to register, go to www.simon.com/mall/burlington-mall. I'm Jolie Atwood, and that was your community calendar.
Thank you, Jolie, and thank you, Peter. Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo is an idyllic nature scene that can be found right here in Burlington. It was sent in by Elaine Carpenter and shows a slow-moving creek in the heart of Mary Cummings Park. Spring has yet to come, but the lack of snow and the hints of growth demonstrate that nicer days are on their way. Thanks for the photo, Elaine. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your spring activities, a family trip, or just everyday moments, whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line, Photo of the Week. Well, that's it for this week's edition of BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee. I hope you have a happy spring. Have a great week, and I'll see you around town. Good night.